Welcome to the She Wins podcast. I'm your host, Heather Sumlin, and today I'm super excited because Kayla Wharton has come to visit me. I mean, I can't even give all of your accolades because I don't know every single title you've won, but she has been involved in pageantry for almost her whole life.
I would say over, yeah. It's been a long time.
Almost her whole life. She's won multiple state titles, multiple national titles, and I have known her over a decade. Is that right? How long?
So 2011, I think, is when we started.
Oh, just 13 years ago. Just 13 years ago. Awesome. Okay, so first of all, give everybody a little bit of backstory. Tell them a little bit about you, and then we'll jump into some more difficult questions.
Perfect. Yes. I'm Kayla Wharton, and I grew up in Kansas in a very small town, grew up on a farm, and I actually started showing dairy cattle. Ooh, nice. And that was like pageant world for cows. So that's how I got started in pageants in a different way. But then I danced. I grew up dancing, doing dance competitions and just dancing because I loved it. And one day my mom was like, let's go in to, see what this pageant stuff's about. And so I did it. Little girl, I had no self-confidence, no self-esteem. I could not speak in front of anybody, but you give me the stage and I will just take over. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when I fell in love with it. I didn't start placing or winning for a long time, but I enjoyed it and I loved it and I love the person that I grew into. Fast forward, I went to college at Kilgore College, and that's how I got to Texas. I wanted to be a rangerette. I didn't make it, but I stayed there, studied, and went on to go to UNT, University of North Texas, and get my fashion design degree, which that even jumped into pageantry because I like to redesign a lot of the garments that I wear. And that's one thing that a lot of people will say to me is like, we can't wait to see what you show up in.
Right, like
because I've taken something completely like off the rack and redone it. Mm-hmm. And then my husband and I, Andy, have been married for 17 years. I can't believe it. Oh my gosh. And we have a almost 9-year-old little boy. And a lot has happened. I'm celebrating 5 years breast cancer free.
Nice.
So
congratulations.
Thank you. Big milestone for me. And and I speak about that, and that's how my platform started actually with my mother. She's a 2-time breast cancer survivor, and I speak about Perfectly Pink, which is my platform, educating others on early detection and knowing your body and living a healthy lifestyle. And in the past, I don't even know how many years now, it was before I had breast cancer, so about 7 years is when I think I might have figured it out. Finally figured the pageant stuff out, and I have now won 3 international titles, and so that's just a little bit about me. Currently holding the International United Ms title and loving it and having an amazing time.
I saw you at Miss America.
Yes,
and I hadn't seen you in a while, and so. I mean, obviously, I've seen you on social media often.
That's how I keep track with everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I hadn't seen you in person, and you said that you absolutely are having a blast with your current title.
Absolutely. This has been amazing. This will be our 3rd trip that we received in the part of our prize package, and they pay for everything. Just a trip to Miss America was a surprise trip for us. So we didn't know, we're like, hey, they're like, you want to go to Miss America? And we're like, oh my gosh, yes. And so we were able to go, and they paid for us to go to Miss America. Paid for us to go to Disney. And then also, I guess it's been 2 weeks now, I went back to Florida again. And for the Miss Florida pageant, International United Ms. Florida pageant, and they took us to 2 parks of Universal, completely paid for it. It's amazing. And then I leave actually on Thursday to go to our all-inclusive trip. When I mean all-inclusive, I mean everything has been paid for. I pay for absolutely nothing except for the swimsuits that I had to get to be cute.
Right. Of course.
That kind of stuff. But it's all paid for, and we're going to Curacao. So super, super excited.
That's so fun. Okay, so now I'll get into some of the questions I typically ask people. So first one, how do you, as someone who's won a lot, how do you define winning?
Winning to me is not, it's not the crown. I love the crown, want the crown, strive for the crown, go in. That's what I'm going for. But all the preparation to compete has helped me grow as a person, as a mom, as a wife, as a title holder of where I am today. And that to me is what winning is, and showing my son that you just don't walk on stage, that there is a lot of prep. There's a lot of things that happen because he's into sports. He's into basketball and baseball, and sometimes he's just down. And I said, did mommy just walk on stage? No. You talk to yourself a lot in the car. You are always walking and videotaping and watching yourself and perfecting it and making everything where I feel my very best. And seeing that my son sees what it takes to do your best is, to me, it's a win.
So basically, continuing to train, reaching your potential. And reaching your potential, I guess, under pressure in competition.
Absolutely.
Is a win, whether you get the crown or not.
Right.
Okay, what are you going to do next? You've won all the things. You've won all the things. What is the, well, are you going to do USA? I mean, now that's open to...
Oh my gosh, no. We don't need to see me in a swimsuit.
Well, you just bought cute ones.
Yeah, those are for the beach, for not to be judged in.
I totally get it.
Yeah, we don't need to see the mom body of this anymore. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, there's enough scars from breast cancer and the treatments and the after effect of all that. There's a lot. So nobody needs to be seeing that.
No, my God. No, I don't see that. That's okay. And I think it's one of those things where it's beautiful that they've opened it up to multiple people who want to be able to participate, but it's also beautiful to know what your limits are and what you want to do and don't want to do.
I think it's awesome. I mean, if I felt like $1 million in a swimsuit, I think I'd probably do it again. Just, I did it when I was younger. I did Miss Kansas when I was younger and loved it and aged out, and I was like, okay, well, that's it. But you know what? I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I probably would have went on and won that at that time.
Or you would have felt like you had it all figured out.
Yeah.
So what was a defining moment in your life?
Oh, gosh. There are so many things in my life. I would have to say, gosh, the first thing would have been my mother having breast cancer twice and being a survivor, and her kind of going through all that, being married, having a son, going through breast cancer, and then just that, all of those things together, just I think is my aha moments.
Many moments. Talk to me about when your mom was diagnosed. How old were you?
I think I was a freshman in high school, which was really tough. My mom didn't show me that she was sick. If anybody knows my mom, she is one that you will never see pain. She will never tell you she's in pain. She is one of those women that just keeps going, and I got that from her. And going through so much and going through chemo, and you have your days that you're sick. And I'm very thankful that I had the support system with me. And that's one thing with my mom, and seeing her go through it the first time. She just had her lymph nodes removed the first time. And then 9 years later, it came back. So I don't feel like I'm out of it yet. And I say, and I tell my doctors that when I hit 9 years past my mom, I will be cancer free. But right now, I celebrate my 5 years, which in medical terms is huge. It's very huge. But I don't feel that I'm cancer free and in the go level of clear, I guess, until I've passed her mark. So.
What was it? Okay, so you said it was really difficult, but yet she never
showed it. Going through chemo and being sick, and she's a fighter. She's strong. Not only has she had breast cancer twice, she's had lung cancer and is currently been diagnosed with brain cancer.
Oh, wow.
And so watching my mother, she's such a fighter. And that when people ask, who your role model is, and she's my role model. She's fought all of this, and she will never tell you that she's in pain, that she's having a bad day. she just keeps going and puts a smile on her face, and she will do anything and everything for you. So,
well, and I know in pageant land, they like to say, well, don't say your mom as your role model, or don't say your mom as your, who you would want to be when you grow up. Like, think bigger, broader. I'm like, well, in some cases, you should just say your mom.
Yeah, it's my mom.
And it should be.
Yeah. There's nobody that in my life that I've seen go through the things that she has gone through, and she continues to fight. And now, I mean, after these 9 years with our little boy, it's not, hey, how are you doing? It's, how's Asher doing, our son? I'm like, I'm doing good, thanks, Mom.
Yeah, thanks for checking on me.
Yeah, but that's her motivation, and that's her. That's her only grandchild, and so it keeps her going, and that's what I love.
So, what's advice that she's given you that you feel like helped you when you had your battle?
Just be strong. Just be strong. Look at the things in life that God's given you. I couldn't have asked for a better husband, more supportive husband than I did. He went to every single chemo treatment with me. He's by my side. Anything that I ever needed, he was there. I couldn't have asked for anything better. And my son only being 3 at the time, he didn't quite understand it, but he knew that Mommy had boo-boos. And that the hard thing is with chemo, the first 72 hours, you can't have contact with anybody because the chemo makes you sick. Mm-hmm. And if anybody's going through that, they can get sick as well, get very, very sick. And so we had to use different bathrooms. And I could never kiss Asher. I could never kiss my husband.
It's a very lonely process.
It was very hard. But we knew that was what was going to make me better, was having this treatment and going through it.
If you could go back and relive at any point in your life, is there anything you would undo, redo in any way?
Gosh, no. Honestly, no. I believe everything happens for a reason, and I still believe that. Not winning a pageant. Mm-hmm. There's a lot that I haven't ever won. But also, if I would have won them, I would have never met you. I probably would have never stepped in and going, what am I doing wrong?
Oh my gosh.
Why can I not get this?
I remember that conversation that first time you were preparing for Mrs. Texas. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you remember anything about that?
I remember doing mock interviews, and we did a mock interview, and they're like, yeah, that was great. But I see why you're not getting that perfect score. And we worked together, and guess what happened? I won Mrs. Texas after going there. Now, Mrs. America was a different story. I would change a few things going back to that. But I did have a second chance of going back a couple years ago. And I wouldn't change that either. Didn't win. I didn't place top 15. But you know what? I learned a lot about myself going through both of those situations and pageants there.
I remember having a conversation with you once after breast cancer, and you were contemplating whether or not to wear a wig.
Yes.
And why was that so hard for you?
That was the hardest part. Not having a double mastectomy, not losing my breast. That, I'm like, okay, cool. We'll make that work. Shaving my head was hard.
Yeah.
Was the hardest thing ever. And I think it's because of pageants. Because we are visual. And we see a woman and we don't see everything on the inside. You see the outside. And they're like, oh my gosh, she's beautiful. Well, you know what? There's a whole lot more on the inside. And to me, I didn't want to walk on stage and them to see me and feel sorry for me.
And I think that's fair.
I chose to wear a wig. A lot of people didn't even know it was a wig, which they were like, wait, you have a wig on? Yeah. And that was the moment of letting women know, it's about who you are. It's not about what your outside is. And after that, I ended up winning that my second international title. And I ended up winning. And through that year I took off my wig and I embraced my short hair. And if you see that year, you'll see, the long wig when I won.
And you can rock that short hair too.
This is the longest that it has been since I shaved it. And I was like, you know what? Let's just grow it out. Let's see what happens. I've kept it short. I'm like, if I grow it out, I'm probably never going to cut it again.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's just rock the short hair and go with it. And again, it's a stereotype. A lot of people think you have to have long hair to win a pageant. Well, I just won my 3rd international title with short hair. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's about who you are. It's not about what you look like.
And that's interesting because I think a lot of people have this preconceived idea that pageantry is all what you look like.
No.
Okay, so what's the secret? If you were to encourage somebody's watching this and like, wow, I didn't even know you could do pageants as a married woman with kids. And if you were to encourage someone to enter, what would you tell them?
Be yourself. Be who you are. Don't try to be the person that was crowned before you or 2 times before you. Don't go in thinking this is who and what I have to be. Be yourself. You want guidance, of course, and people that have been there and done that, but be yourself and be who you are.
So are you going to continue competing or, I mean, now that you've had this title that's just taking you all over the world to all kinds of fun places and you feel like, I mean, you've won a lot of the ones that you can. What do you want to do?
That's been like the $1 million question. I don't know if I want to compete again. I love it. I mean, I've won 3 huge international titles. When do you stop? What do you do from now?
It's like the Triple Crown.
Right. Yeah. There we go.
I mean, literally.
Yeah. Where do I go from here? I've been coaching for about 12 years now, coaching girls. And I really have just done it on word of mouth and doing that. I think I'd like to grow the business more and I guess maybe market a little bit better.
Yeah.
And out there, maybe, I guess not even better, market, period.
Yeah.
Get myself out there. And then I've also have a makeup line and skincare line that I've had that for about 9-10 years now, and just searching for that right name right now. And if I do your hair and makeup, and I do that for pageants as well, if I do it, then I'm like, hey, here are the products. If you're interested, just shoot me a message. I'll get it to you from there. But yeah,
that's awesome. So it's all been word of mouth.
All word of mouth.
But how do people find you?
I think a lot of it is I'll talk to girls every once in a while. I'm like, I will love to help you. I see something in you that will push you to the next level if you just let me work with you just a little bit. And usually we work together and we're like, light bulbs on, got it. And then they walk in and they're like, I have never done so good. And it's not necessarily winning the title. It's getting the best score that you've ever received before. I had one young lady come to me and she's like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Kind of the same situation I did with you. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I can't figure it out. We sat down and we talked and I was like, be you. Don't tell me the answers you think you want me to hear. I want to know who you are. That's who's going to win. If you tell me what you think I want to hear, that's not tell me about who you are. And she walked into the interview and walked back out and she said, that's the best interview I've ever had. We got her scores back and she got 9.8s, the highest she's ever received. Now take it, she didn't walk away with a crown, but she was like, I have done my very, very best. What do I need to do to keep going? And I said, well, now that we've worked for a little bit of time, let's work for more time and let's get you and you build you and your confidence level up.
So for those who don't know pageant, not every pageant gives you your scores.
No.
Some systems do. A lot of systems don't. What's your advice to someone who they have no clue? There's no paper to walk away with any advice from judges.
That's really hard. And I've been in a lot of those. You don't know where you've placed. You don't know your score. You could walk out and be like, that's the best interview I've ever had.
And it might be.
And it actually is the worst,
like in the scoring.
Yeah. The best thing that I can tell anybody is do your best, portray who you are, let them know that you are who you are, and let being yourself. And walking out of that interview, it's, again, judges is probably pageant, is one of the hardest competitions there is, because it's not, my husband, when we first started, was very confused on this. He's like, it's not a point system. Like, you either don't get the point or you don't, like basketball, you either get it or you don't.
Right.
He's like, I don't get it. And I'm like, well, it's one person's opinion. They may not like blondes. They may not like the way you talk. They may not like your lipstick. They may not have liked the color that you've chosen that day. But you know what? You can't change that.
I want to talk a little bit about your platform, because you've had your platform for a long time. It just became very personal.
Yes.
About 7 years ago. So what specifically do you do with your platform?
When I started with it, with my mom, I guess, oh my gosh, it's been... No, I can't do math. I guess it's been about 15 years that I really started my platform, and it was telling my mom's story. And because my mom didn't want to talk about it, again, she's just very, very strong. And I would talk about the things that you can do over time to help prevent it. Having a healthy lifestyle, exercising, limit your alcohol intake, eating healthy, just those kind of things, healthy body weight will help you prevent it. Now, there is no prevention, but we can, as long as we can do our part, that is the best. And for me, I found it myself. And so now, going from telling what my mom had with her breast cancer, and the doctors actually found hers, but now I talk about yourself. You've got to know your own body. You've got to know it. I found it myself. And then ended up, I had a mammogram 3 months before, completely clear.
Wow.
Found it. It was actually up closer to my collarbone. And I thought it was a knot in my muscle. And I was like, oh, it's going to go away. It's going to go away. And then I finally was like, no, you know what? This is not going away. Let's go get it checked out. Not even a thought of breast cancer. I'm healthy. I live a healthy lifestyle. I'm working out all the time. I mean, this can't happen to me. I've done everything to not let this happen. And it did. And I ended up having 5 total spots. And so now going through it and telling women and teaching them how to check yourself. A lot of women are like, I don't know how. And I'm saying, give me your hand. And it's not, we just don't rub. We actually get into your breast tissue. And I say, mine was clear up here. You've got to check clear up here. You got to check underneath the armpits. Check around your breast area. And that's one thing that I teach people. And then the next thing is we think, and a lot of people don't understand this if you've never had anybody go through cancer of any sort, you think, oh, you've had your chemo, you're done with chemo, you're done with everything. No. Side effects happen after that. Side effects for me happened after that. I was on tamoxifen, which is to prevent cancer from coming back, my breast cancer from coming back. I got off of it for other reasons. It was making me not me. And
changing personality?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Yes, it was, and a lot of people don't know this until I tell you a personal story, but I was ready to end my life.
Wow.
And at that moment, I was lucky enough to know that this was happening to me, and called my husband, and he was like, okay, watch me in cameras at the house that we have and stuff. And so at that point, I was like, I'm done with this medicine. Yeah. I'm like, no more. And so I'd been on it for 2 years. The doctor said, I'm fine. That's fine. But one of the side effects from that, before I even started taking it, was endometriosis. And I was like, I'm really worried about this, being young, being still of childbearing age. What's this going to do to me? What's going to happen with my life? Because I am young, and I want to be there for my husband and my son. But, what is this going to do? What's this tamoxifen? Am I going to get a side effect because I'm so young? Because women under 40, they haven't really tested it. And that was the information that we went into my doctor talking about, that women under 40, there's not enough research. There's a 15% that they did on studies of women under 40. I'm like, I don't know, what am I getting myself into? But I'd already seen the side effect that it had done to me.
Right.
There's worse side effects with it. But I guess it'll be a year now. No, March. March will be a year now. I had a full hysterectomy. And that was because back in, I guess, December, a year ago, things were just not right. And I went to the doctor and he was like, you have endometriosis and you have an irregular spot.
Ooh.
Everything I didn't want to hear. So scared to death, we did another biopsy again, and he's like, I don't know. The best thing that we can do right now is to just have a hysterectomy. Mm-hmm. So I had a hysterectomy because it's a side effect of something else. And so that's one thing with my platform is I speak to women and give support and let people know that just because we're done with chemo or radiation, your life is not done. We're not done with treatments. We continue to go to the doctor continuously to make sure that we're right. Will I ever have in the back of my head that I'm not going to have cancer again? It's always there. Mm-hmm. It's always there.
Well, and I would imagine, too, with your mom then having lung cancer and brain cancer, the word cancer means something very different. It's very personal to you.
Yeah.
And knowing that some of it's hereditary, too.
She's not a gene carrier.
Oh, wow.
I'm not a gene carrier. That was she was tested because they wanted to know, my mom and dad both wanted to know if she was a carrier, if I was going to have it.
Right.
And I think that was probably the hardest thing on my dad. He goes, we had mom tested so that you wouldn't go through this. I'm like, well, it happened. So, and then I immediately was like, I want to be tested to see if any kind of a gene, any kind of cancer gene would be transferred onto my son. Right. And I'm not a carrier of anything.
Well, that's good.
It's good, but it's crazy.
It's good.
It makes you go, why?
Yeah, well, sometimes I feel like, and maybe it's just me wanting to look at everything happens for a reason, right? And you said earlier, like my mom had breast cancer. Yes, breast cancer and uterine cancer. And I feel like, you know, she doesn't drink alcohol. She has a pretty healthy and all of the things. And then, but I thought about it. I'm like, maybe the reason why you got it was because she has this spirit within her that other people need to experience. And if you're a light, but you're only in the light, you can't light up the darkness. And so I just feel like sometimes you just are put into places. The Lord sticks you where he needs you to be to reach the people he needs you to reach. And I don't know if that makes anybody feel better, but like that's what I believe happened with my mom.
100%. 100% agree with you. There are many times that I've competed before and questioned, why didn't I win? Why?
Like, why was I there?
Mm-hmm. I did everything right. I prepped right. I did everything that I possibly could have done. Oh, I didn't win. But you know what? I walk back in and do the same thing again, and there's a reason why. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why I won when I did each time. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Love it. Love it. I don't know if this leads you anywhere, but one of the things I always ask is, what is something and advice that you've been given that made the biggest impact on you? I asked you about your mom, but I figure you might have been given some advice by someone else that made a big impact on you.
Oh, I just always go back to be yourself and be who you are. I find that it's kind of funny that breast cancer, I think, brought me more out of who I am, and I'm not afraid to hold back. Yeah. I could probably say up to probably about when we started, would I have sat down and done this? Oh my gosh, no. Was I nervous today? Absolutely. Yeah. But I wouldn't have been here. I wouldn't have had the courage and the self-confidence to be here and being myself, of speaking out. I believe that's really who I am.
I think you're being used to, like you said, is it curable necessarily 100%? Not always. Is it preventable? Could be. But if we're not actually doing the work to know who we are, and I think you take it to another level. It's like not just know who you are on the inside, know what your body feels like, pay attention so that you can actually, maybe you can find something early. So I think you're being used in amazing ways. And the titles are just a way to be a voice. But I'm excited to talk to you more because I have a Patreon channel. So if you're not a Patreon member, I highly recommend that you join because Kayla and I are going to have a really deep discussion about how did she win these titles? What's her advice to some of her coaching clients? If you want to train with her, you want to talk to her, you want her to come and do an appearance, how do they reach you? What's your Instagram?
It's Kayla Wharton, Kayla Wharton, Wharton. You'll see me. And the profile pictures.
Perfect. So we're going to tackle some things. We're going to do a Patreon membership for women, and then we're going to do one for pageantry too. So y'all join the Patreon membership. Like this if you do. Share it with a friend. Kayla, you are inspirational.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so proud of how far you've come. And I do remember when you first came in and we first sat down and talked, you are a different person now. And I don't know if it's cancer, if it's winning the titles or what all it is, but you definitely have transformed into a wonderful woman.
You know what? I'm going to tell you what it was. It really is the mental management. It really is. When I first started working with you and going through it, every once in a while I'll put that podcast back on and listen to it while I'm walking on the treadmill. It's just that little bit coming back in.
Oh, yeah. That podcast, by the way, she's talking about, it's a 3-hour audio program that I did about 15 years ago, and it's on the Patreon membership for pageantry. So if you have not joined, join so you can listen to what she's talking about.
Highly recommend it.
Awesome. Have a blessed rest of your day.